So nasal congestion or sinus congestion simply refers to the presence of mucus in the nasal or sinus passages. Nasal blockage, on the other hand, refers to when you can't breathe through your nose. So like a stuffed nose. And a stuffed nose, by the way, is not stuffed with mucus. It's stuffed because your nasal membranes are inflamed and swollen. Actually, calling it a stuffed nose is a misnomer because your nasal passages are swollen shut, not clogged. Does that make sense? If it was just mucus clogging your nose, you would be able to blow it out. But when you have a stuffed nose, you can't blow it out because the nasal passages are swollen. What are some of the reasons why you would get nasal or sinus congestion? Well, the first is kapha, the most common, is that kapha people tend to have thick, sweet blood plasma, lymph, or in Ayurveda called rasa. The thick, sweet rasa naturally attracts bacterial infections. Kapha people, even if they don't eat ice cream, have sweet rasa. But if they do eat ice cream, their rasa becomes very sweet, and bacteria love sweet fluids. Also, if you're exposed to cold air, and cold can be kapha or vata, by the way. I put it under kapha here just because it's common. Cold air stimulates mucus production to flush the nasal passages of bacteria. So what happens is that when your nasal passages are exposed to cold air, it causes vasoconstriction and therefore poor circulation to the poor circulation in that area. Well, bacteria love poor circulation. So your body wants to flush that bacteria out, and it does it with mucus. So cold air hinders circulation, and then your body produces mucus to compensate for the lack of circulation. There's a vata type of sinus congestion also, or stuffed nose, when dryness or dry air irritates the sinuses and stimulates mucus production and swelling. In the winter, when you turn on the heating system, it dries out the air, and that can lead to dry nasal passages and even nosebleeds. With vata, you'll get a stuffed nose with no mucus, or maybe you'll get very thin mucus. In general, if vata has mucus, it's thin. If kapha has mucus, it's thick. Pitta people, Pitta type is going to include actual infections, allergies or hay fever, or environmental irritants such as dust and chemicals, etc. That's Pitta type sinus congestion. What are some lifestyle tips, general lifestyle tips for prevention and what to do if you have a sinus infection or congestion? Is to ensure that you're breathing through your nose instead of your mouth. When you breathe through your mouth, you irritate your lungs, and then your lungs get infected, and then you get more congestion. So if you have a stuffed nose, or you're having trouble breathing through your nose, you have no choice but to breathe through your mouth. And in that case, get a humidifier. And I do this immediately. Anytime I have a stuffed nose or anytime I can't breathe through my nose, I put a humidifier in the room to prevent myself from breathing dry air into my lungs through the mouth. To care for your nose and sinuses, you should do nasal oil daily. Nasal oil is a technique of putting drops of oil in the nose. And also do neti pot. Neti pot is when you wash out your nasal passages. And we have a picture of that on the right side of the slide here, where the person is using this neti pot to put water through the nose. Note that you want to use the neti pot right away. if you start to notice congestion, because if it's fully congested, you may not be able to get the water through. And by the way, you could put herbal teas in that nausea too. You don't just have to use straight up water and salt, which is the standard formula, but you could put herbs and stuff in there also. We have a tincture called sinus rinse drops that we use on Joyful Belly in neti pots. More lifestyle tips for sinus and nasal congestion. You can massage your sinuses, and that can help alleviate pressure and get fluids moving. You can do pranayama with humming. Basically, pranayama is a breathing technique, and you hum while you do the breathing techniques, and that will loosen up the fluids. And the particular breathing technique that involves humming is called Brahmari, which means bee, like a buzzing bee. Keep your head upright, even at night when you're sleeping. Prop yourself up on pillows, because that can help the sinuses drain. My 11-week-old son is a little sick right now, and that's what we had to do last night, is prop him up so that his nasal passages would drain, being a tender little baby. All right, so what about some teas? You know, we've all heard of the ginger, lemon, salt, honey tea. The ginger is a pungent spice that flushes and liquefies mucus. Lemon and salt are secretagogues, so it increases the fluid quantity to really flush them out. And honey is a soothing demulcent if you have like an inflamed throat. You can do a hot bath. That'll help. Or inhaling steam will help too. The hot bath will boost your circulation. The inhaling steam will also boost the circulation in the sinuses. And you can use essential oils like eucalyptus to open the sinuses. If you have sinus and nasal congestion, avoid rich, sweet, mucus-promoting foods like dairy and wheat. Avoid refined sugar. Chocolate isn't necessarily a problem, but if it's sweetened chocolate, it can provide a lot of sugar, and that could be a problem. Then you want to favor easy-to-digest foods like soups and stews. And soups are great because you can inhale the steam as you eat it. And really spicy food too. We all had this past week. As soon as the kids got sick, we all got a little sick. And Natalie, my wife, she made this really wonderful, very simple, very spicy rice dish with peas. And it had tons of turmeric in it, and tons of ginger and black pepper, and it was Spice City, and it was great. It kind of broke out on a sweat, and it really helped flush things out, and I felt good after eating it. So favor those spicy foods when you have nasal congestion. For herbs, again, spicy herbs. Think about laxatives. A lot of nasal congestion comes from ama, from toxins in the body, because those toxins irritate the mucous membranes. And toxins doesn't mean, toxins from a factory. It just means a buildup. It can mean a buildup of your own bodily metabolic waste products. It could also be caused from fermentation in the colon. So this is the remedy we're suggesting for that, which is laxatives to clean the colon, to get those toxins out so that your body is clean and your mucous membranes are less irritated. Vasodilators are great for congestion in general. In fact, that's why spicy foods are great. Spicy foods are a cardiac stimulant and a vasodilator, but pure vasodilators like tulsi, cloves, even cinnamon, they improve blood flow, which improves immunity because your immune system is in the blood. Heat in general, it helps fight bacteria. That's why when you have an infection, you get a fever, because heat helps kill bacteria. Aromatic spices can disperse inflammation and swelling, and that opens up the nasal passages. And that's precisely why you would use a raw onion or crushed garlic. You take a raw onion and chop it up, or some crushed garlic, and hold it in front of the nose. And as it releases those aromatic compounds, it opens up the passageways. And also, those two foods are anti-inflammatory.